You want to see the curvature of the earth? We're looking out the window in Hermosa Beach at the horizon. Every windowsill should be level. When you put the corner of the windowsill on the horizon, you'll find that the horizon has a slight curve. That's the curvature of this monstrous thing we live on the earth. This is taught to me at 10, 12. So I live with that understanding, those basics. I'm not an engineer by any means, but I do engineer a lot of stuff. When it breaks, put in a bigger one, you know. So I'm a simpleton, but I have a regard for it and a sensibility and respect. So that's all. I'm an artist and an engineer, kind of mixed up.
Bruce, if with art being the topic here, can you shared a little bit of your early story about being an artist? Can you retell some of that now that we've got the recorder on, about being in school and how you did the mural? Because I think you just showed me something about how important the artistry of the vehicle design is, and I loved your background. Can you retell that story, please?
Well, there's figure drawing, and then there's portraiture. And there was a time in this world when there wasn't any cameras. I have a little book out there, The Christmas Carol by that crazy Englishman. And every drawing in it is a drawing done by hand because it was printed in 1842. Before we had cameras, you had to have artists. When you think of reading anything in a newspaper or a magazine, it's always photography. But there was a time when there wasn't any cameras. And it all had to be done by people who knew how to draw. Now, that little book is the most delicately beautiful drawings. Oh, my gosh. I'm jealous of the guy. He's so beautiful. But he was the illustrator. People just roar past all that. I have drawings on my wall. I'll show you guys. A lot of my stuff was done when I was 20 years old. And I was really good. But people glance and just walk away. They don't stop and examine them. They're handmade drawings. They're a piece of 3-dimension on a flat surface. That's not easy. So drawings were an elegant way to use as illustrations when there was a time with no cameras. And we've forgotten all that because the camera is gone, or the camera takes over the whole thing. So it's just part of our fast world. I don't blame anybody. I'm not jealous because they don't look at my nice drawings. We had a party out in our warehouse, and these drawings were sitting on an easel. I think 2 people stopped for maybe more than a moment. It's okay. It's what you must understand as being kind of a secret of your own, and I'm not in love with the idea of having learned to draw so well, and I wanted to be one of the guys that put the presidents on our money. In those 4, 5, or 6, they're gorgeous things, and they're tiny. They're the size of a 50-cent piece, and they're beautiful. They're gorgeous pieces of figure drawing. And all that is something of the past, which I'm still in love with. I'm sorry that I'm still hung up over it. But it's a part of why you have a Meyers Manx. If it wasn't for that, there wouldn't be a Meyers Manx. You realize that the Manx is not just a piece of mechanical stuff. It's something else. It's beyond that. And I knew that, and I wanted to embellish the Manx with an insistence that you can't not look at it. Wherever you drive a Manx, if you're especially with 3 or 4 or 5 of them, and you're driving somewhere, like we went up to Monterey last year, all the way, horns being honked, thumbs being raised, the high signs, tooting. It's like you're in a parade of your own. Just driving around them, one kind of pisses you off. You finally get tired of it because people keep wanting to, wave at you or something because they think you're in a parade. The car looks like a cartoon. I guess it brings its attention that way. So
it's an artistically inspired,
mostly
well-engineered vehicle that allowed dreamers to venture into places that they may otherwise never have gone. You took it to Baja and changed or started a culture.
Isn't that amazing?
And I question for you, I mean, that was over 50 years ago. Does going to Baja still bring you the kind of the joy, the sense of adventure?
Oh, my God.
Lots of things have changed. Is Baja still the same for you?
I get tired of Mexican food. That's not to say that I have a daughter that was born in Mexico. She's the only blonde, blue-eyed Mexican that I know.
Yeah.
She was born in Tijuana. I did that purposely. But, we have a club, the Manx Club, and it's around the world, but most of it's in the United States. And the Eastern people love to come out here and be taken to Baja. And we have groups, 8 or 10 people, and we put them in buggies and cars, and we go down and watch the race. And they all come home screwed up. They've been, I don't know, they've fallen in love with something. And our club is a big love affair, but the people in it, especially the girls, I love all the girls, of course, but they're so taken with the craziness of it. You're chased along with the Nora one. It's every night you stop and there's fun, and tomorrow we race again, and 5 days of this, and you're at the other end, and here they are doing things only in Mexico, shooting off monster fireworks right in front of you, 20 feet away, and they're coming back down on top of you. And they just see all that as a huge experience. And I've heard them say, it's better than going to Europe.
Yeah.
See, the whole thing becomes such a circus, and there's so many people, and there's so much attention, and it's all in a place where it's foreign. That boy that was in here was Jagger. He speaks perfect Spanish. And he loves to go with them because at the dinner table there's 12 people, and they don't know what the hell they're reading. And he sits there and explains all. He loves to cook. So they have this experience that is unique, fresh, unforgettable. And they go home, and next year, here they are. They want to come and go back down there again. See, so it's a huge pleasure to treat them to that. My being there is kind of embarrassing. I mean, I like the attention. On the other hand, not too much. I don't know what am I trying to say?
You want to enjoy yourself without shaking a whole bunch of hands all day.
Something like that. Something
I'll
like
say
that
it for you.
Something like that. Anyway, it's a lot of pleasure, a lot of fun. That 50 years of this sort of thing, and people are enjoying it. And, of course, it's a different thing now. It all started with a handful of little dune buggies. And today I started to tell you about the guy that came out there. He's never done this. He has lots of money. He's got a number 10 car, and they all went out to test it, the shock absorbers or something out in the desert. And Jagger came back telling me the stories about all this house trailer that's got 2 bathrooms and endless, elegance. I don't like that story. That's not the way it was.
Yeah.
I'm not drawn to that. See, he's the big expensive motorhomes and the big colorful stuff is no doubt. It's like Jimmy Fluger came over from Hawaii, and his son is racing, and he's got a lot of money. And they're sitting out in the desert, and it's hotter than hell. So he says, "To hell with this." He gets a push-up tent, above-ground pool, 2 or 3 water trucks to fill the pool. They sit in the pool with their beer. That's their pit stop. I mean, I think that's a great idea. It just takes a lot of money. A couple, 3 water trucks to keep your pool full. See, it's grown into something that's kind of a big look at me. It's like driving a Ferrari. A red Ferrari is a look at me car. So is a dune buggy. It's a hell of a lot cheaper.
I was going to say, yeah.
Different budget.
Same objective.
Yeah, but see, the ego is always in front. The male ego, the male dominant thing is always, I don't know, I see it too quickly. And I don't think they see it at all.
Bruce, I think, and I appreciate your position on the guy that shows up with the trailer that has 2 bathrooms, because that's also the guy that shows up to a race the day of, gets in the race car, races, and then he flies back home.
Yeah.
And I think the most important memories and the most important part of the race is before and after with your team, sitting around the campfire, telling the stories of how the day went, what broke and what you fixed, and the camaraderie that comes along with that. And those are the memories I cherish the most, and I'm sure that that's probably what you're referring to, is time with people.
I've watched this evolution from peanuts to what we got.
Yeah.
And it's all I see is the red Ferrari kind of thing. Look at me. Come on. How about there's more to it than that? It's movie star time. It's something that's gone beyond something that I like. I'm much too honest to be. I hope I'm honest to be able to see this, and they see it as a kind of an opportunity to show off or something, a bragging thing. Is that true? Am I wrong?
Well, I'm going to counter you here.
Okay.
Because when you did it 50 years ago, what ended up happening? It got published around the world by Road and Track, and you're pretty proud of that.
Yes, that's a very big reason. Yes,
I mean, but and you're admitting that, hey, the human ego, the male ego, is a massive driving force for all of us. I don't.
Okay.
I'm not finding fault with what you're saying. What I'm saying is that at some core level, it's always ego. But what I like about your era versus the 2 bathrooms and air conditioning era is that you were a real man.
Yeah.
You put up with some pretty harsh conditions, really pioneering. I mean, one could argue. I mean, there were obviously people that went by horseback down that peninsula.
Mama Espinosa.
Yeah.
She knew me. We were friends. Mama Espinosa was at, what's the little village?
El Rosario.
El Rosario.
Yep.
When we first went there, we're in Dune Buggies. There's 3 of us. And we pull up, and we've got a book, Gerhard and Gulick. We're trying to follow what is this place? And we stand outside the door, and Mama Espinosa's standing inside, and she's watching us, and we're all trying to say, how in the hell do you say eggs? It's huevos, isn't it? Well, we walk in the door, she says, what do you want, pancakes? Whoa, where did you come from? Well, she was raised in America. At the age of 6, she was in a horse-drawn wagon, carried from rancho to rancho, from that place, over 200 miles to somewhere up by the Salton Sea. And she went to grade school every year for 8-9 months, and then back and forth, this for 10 years, from 6 to 16. So she learned all about English. She's learned about the American way of life, I guess. But she wanted to live there, and she started that little place. And she was a very strong personality. Like other females along those places, they brought in a refrigeration. They brought in paved roads. They brought in electricity. They were, predominant mayors, leaders of those places. And she was by far the strongest. But she had a saying, said, she said, Bruce, when you were here, it was on dirt roads. She says, dirt roads have iron men. Today, there's paved roads and paper men.
I've heard so many versions of that, Bruce.
I like that one.
That one's a great one, but
Yeah.
it's been twisted or also she's said something along the lines of when talking about the road being paved, that the good roads or the bad roads bring good people,
Yes.
and the good roads are bringing bad people.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's I like that one too. But she was a beautiful person that I came to know because I went through there from time to time, and she always remembered somehow. There's a picture of us, Ted and I, on the wall inside the door. But see, those are the kinds of connections that you carry with you. They're endearing. That kind of a person is so real. She's not 2 bathrooms in a big trailer.
Yeah.
She's the opposite. She rode in the wagon used to sit outside the place until just recently. The wagon was about as long as from me to you, and it had a place for a little kid and a couple of adults, I guess. And she